I want to welcome to the program a very special guest, a guy that we've been following here for quite some time, a distinguished congressman from Texas's 8th Congressional District.
There it is.
Morgan Luttrell.
Hello, howdy.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I appreciate that distinguished comment.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. I still have it. I've only been here for 6 months, but I haven't lost it.
We're being polite on the front end.
I know. Hey, just wait till give me 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
That's how that's my lifestyle now. Everybody kind of eases into it, and once I soften my posture, they tend to get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, listen, you've seen some shit, but I mean, you've been here for 6 months in Washington D.C. What do you think?
I'm enjoying it. It's the way I describe it, it's a series of problem sets, and if you're really engaged in problem solving, this is the place that you need to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's good. That's very good.
I never take it personal and never take it home.
Yep.
I never make a decision inside 24 hours.
Oh.
And I damn sure don't watch the news. And I think that's why I have my
make the news,
sanity
don't watch
right
the news.
Yeah, that's why I have my sanity still.
I think that's right. I mean, given what we've seen from the news lately, I think that's a smart posture.
It's different being on this side. Coming again 6 months ago, I wasn't. You know, I was still just regular old boy from Montgomery County, right? And being a part of what is put out in the media, there's such a contrast to it sometimes. Sometimes not. Fair enough, right? Fair assessment. But sometimes.
It's amazing.
Man, the liberties that some media outlets take, that is not even close to what happened. But, man, you guys make it exciting. This is a Bruckheimer film, but...
Because, I mean, look, you're a political connoisseur before you got into elected office. You've clearly watched some of this stuff. Did it surprise you when you got in the middle of it?
There's some things that did. I really set my expectations wide, casted a wide net, just because of watching it, engaging in it as a grown up, if you will. And
is that what we call ourselves these days?
I try. I'm almost 50, so I'm trying to figure out when. Clint Eastwood said it the best: "Don't ever let the old man in." That's what I'm trying not to do.
Yeah.
You know, but it's funny because I watched, like House of Cards, all like the campaign and Ides of March, all those political movies that people are like, man, does that really happen? And after we got elected, my wife and I watched them again. Like, man, some of that's spot on. And then someone was like, waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
God dang, man.
I hope you don't get thrown in front of a Metro.
I know. I don't ride the Metro anymore just because of
that. Now, you have a twin brother.
I do. Identical twin brother.
An identical twin?
Good-looking son of a bitch, man. He's a handsome bastard.
It's always nice to encounter a man of that kind of good looks.
I'm an ugly man. He's a good-looking dude. I'm telling you, man. Personality is everything.
But you have an incredible military history.
Thank you.
We're all obviously proud and honored of your service as a Navy SEAL. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
It was the greatest job that I never had. Right, never went to work, and we didn't go to work. It was one of those growing up in the country playing. We played Army back in the day because nobody knew what a SEAL was, but Rambo was a big deal, right?
Yeah, right. Closest thing you can get to Rambo.
Closest thing, right? And luckily, I had Marcus too, and he's a SEAL as well.
Yeah. So,
where we came, again, a little bitty town in Texas. Nobody had heard of a SEAL. We didn't know any of them, but my brother and I made up our minds in our early teens that that's what we were going to do, and no believers, right? No believers whatsoever,
right?
But that's what we wanted, and that's what we went after, and both of us ended up making it. And I got to tell you, and there's certain aspects of it that are great. It was the greatest experience of my life, and I am so happy I did. It put me on a trajectory that got me where I am today, made me the man I am, allows me to do the things and have the latitudes that I have because of the confidence it instilled in me going through the training, but being next to individuals who were champions.
Yeah.
Right? You always hear the phrase, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Mm-hmm.
So when you surround yourself with champions, like the men and the women that serve in special warfare, you don't have anything but the ability to do great things. Because even if you're mediocre, you're still at that, and they hold you. Okay, we eat our own.
Yep.
Right? I'm not a victim of 2 wars, right? I don't have post-traumatic stress, right? I spent my entire career giving that shit to other people. It was damn good at it. and my teammates were too.
Yeah.
But I look back on my service and when I say this, I don't mean this in a bad way. I just don't have any other way to articulate it, but I was blessed to be able to fight in 2 wars. Mm-hmm. Being a team guy, and our skill sets are basically blowing shit up and killing people, taking the bad off the planet, right?
Yep.
And I had the opportunity to do that with my teammates, and we were very effective at it and loved every second of it.
Amazing. And
when it was time for me to turn the page and start a new chapter, which was challenging getting out.
Well, you were injured.
I was. I did. I got injured. I actually would be retired by now, but I think I did 14 years, medically retired at 14 years, which a blessing and a curse, nonetheless. But again, I transitioned and moved on from it, but would not change a thing. The good, bad, and indifferent. One of the things that you don't expect, because when you come out of those training cycles, when I say you think you're superhuman or Superman or Superwoman, that's just the mentality you have.
Yeah.
And when we started losing guys, I lost 4 roommates, 2 best friends, and I lost my brother for 5 days. I've been to more funerals. I'm tattooed from wrist to shoulders with memorials. I'm the most tattooed man in Congress, by the way. I need a Guinness thing for that.
Yeah.
If you checked AOC, I'm not.
I haven't. We've never actually spoken.
Okay.
That's good.
But one thing that you don't really appreciate before you get in is the fact that you're going to lose loved ones.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about my teammates. And I brought my teammates home, and my family loved them. And everybody that met them loved them, right? So you cast this net that you don't expect to do when you're so close to somebody that you'll die for them. I mean, that's what the community's about, right? And then where I come from, they think the same way. So when we lose them, the community grieved, right? The world grieves, every family grieves, and you're losing a brother, and my mom and dad lost some sons.
Yeah.
And that was, you can't get used to that. You don't understand it. It's just one of those things, but you move forward. You celebrate their life. Every single day. Every time I don't have long sleeves on, I look at my arms, I think about one operation on this one operation on this, 31 on this one, 19 on this one, that kind of thing. But that's okay. I mean, we signed up for it. There is, in my opinion, no greater glory than to give your life for your country and your brothers doing what you love doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's in large part why you chose to do what you're doing now.
It is. I'm doing this. I'm here for my sons, and I don't want to be here because I'm away from my sons. That is a challenging part for this job.
It's the hardest part about being in Congress.
It is. And my sons are 6 and 10. Yeah, my 10-year-old's struggling with it.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. Luckily for, you got Zoom and all that other stuff. They're out of school now. Drive my wife crazy. Poor thing.
Just nothing but sports. You got to get them into just.
Oh man, they're everything from. We're racing motorcycles, bicycles. We're in jiu-jitsu, basketball, baseball. I'm inundating them with something outside.
Team sports.
Yeah. By the way that I was raised is like when the sun's up, you're out. Don't come back. Figure out something to do, and
that's right. They used to lock us out.
Lock us outside. Yeah. In the country, there weren't street lights. It's like, just come back. Right. Maybe.
I feel like it have to be at least the next day before they come looking.
Yeah. 24 hours.
I think in special forces and sort of like small unit operations, I think in all the stories I've ever heard from people, what I find most fascinating is how much it requires you to think on your feet and improvise, because you are sort of a small unit and crazy things can happen in some of these operations. I'm curious, like, what's the craziest thing that ever happened, on an operation that you can talk about?
That is definitely declassified.
Yeah, definitely declassified. So innovative, creative thinking and problem solving is a must-have.
Yeah.
In an individual that's in the communities, and I don't care what branch you're in. If you're in those communities, you have to do that. Right? There's no pub, there's no manual, there's no set of directions that say follow this. Matter of fact, in naval special warfare, there's no, like in the Army, they have these platoon leadership books and tactics and books and manuals and pubs and all that kind of. We don't have that in NSW because tactics change every deployment.
Yeah.
Right. So we rely on the subject matter experts that are coming back from the war zone to instruct everybody, and we go forward and change it. The most, well, okay, so there's one that always comes to mind when I think of, oh my God, how did we get through it? It was underwater,
Oh,
Nice.
right?
a hell of a start.
Locking out of a submarine. Wow. And yeah, locking out of a submarine. So my first command was SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 1. It's out in Hawaii. Most people don't know about this command. It's all it's all done from the water to the land. Mm-hmm. So if you think of all the countries that are nefarious actors around the country that have water in proximity, or put that in perspective. The water's always cold. Make no mistake about it, always.
Yeah.
I mean,
In Hawaii and the Pacific.
even in
it's ice
Hawaii,
cold.
it's cold.
Yeah.
People think Hawaii, it's warm. No, but the coldest my brother ever was, he told me his stories, the coldest I ever was diving in Hawaii. I don't want to kill myself. So this particular evolution, if you will, this was a training. I'll do a training evolution. That way we don't have to get into the blood and guts of it all. Underwater, and we had come off a sub in our little mini submersible that takes us a great distance, right? So we don't have to swim it.
Yeah.
And we were in dry suits because the water was so cold. And in the middle of the night, at the bottom of the ocean, it's black beyond black. I mean, it's just something that.
are you doing like GPS at that point?
Oh yeah. Well, you got your nav boards and you're following
Yeah.
the compass and it's all the craziness that happens underwater. And the greatest part about it is nobody knows that we messed up. You figure it out underwater. I mean, the worst things that imaginable happen underwater, but when we come to the surface, everybody's like, "Oh, they're great." No, that's not how that happens.
Yeah.
A lot of shit went down underneath there.
Oh my gosh! I mean,
That's kind of like politics.
yeah, but exactly. How'd y'all figure that out? I mean, it was perfect the whole time.
Everybody had a plan. We executed the plan.
We actually, plan your dive your plan. That never works. Anyway, we were locked. We were coming out. We came up as shallow as we could. We bottomed out our little SDV, and we were coming out. And underwater, you have tap code. You can't see. You just feel. So we have tap codes. Everything is numbered. We have little indicators on all our gear. I was a 4-man, 3-man, 2-man, 1-man, right? And it's a sniper element that was coming out. I came out of the boat first, and I did not get all of the air out of my dry suit. And when I did, I came out and my feet went right above my head. Okay. My dry suit was camouflage, but again, it was in the middle of the night. And as I started rocketed to the surface, I had the regulator, the air hose in my mouth, and I grabbed a hold of the line. And I couldn't reach my demand valve to let the air out. Right. So I'm floating above I can look down. I can make out, because when you move underwater, it's called bioluminescence. It glows a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I could see the guys down there working,
And you're just up.
but I'm up there. Okay, but I'm the first man out. So here comes everybody else, right? And what we're doing is we're changing out of our dive gear and putting on our combat gear underwater.
Jesus.
And they're starting to hand everything out, and as they're transitioning the whole time, and the water was freezing cold. And the one thing that you can't cover up in a dry suit is your hands and your face, right? So my mouth is so cold and numb, I'm losing the ability to clench down on the regulator, and my hands are so cold, I'm starting to lose my grip. So I'm about to lose grip and float away, upside down, in the ocean, right? Done and done. Well, we go through these procedures of anything like this. If anything bad happens underwater, you're with a buddy, you know how to react, right? How to save a life. But this, and to your point, are there contingency plans? Well,
Right.
this has never happened. You know, they tell you specifically, get all the air out of your suit so this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? Here I am.
You're innovating.
Yeah.
And they're like innovating.
And they're like, if they can't reach your demand now, grab your knife and stab your suit. But I couldn't reach my knife. It was too far down my leg. Lesson learned, right? But now my knife's on my thigh, right? So I had bitten through the regulator, the mouthpiece, and I was letting go. And I don't know the time frame, but I had made peace with God. I was like, I'm coming to see you, buddy. And my buddy, remember I told you tap codes and indicators? They finally realized I wasn't there, and looked up and grabbed me and pulled me back inside that boat.
Wow.
Right before. I mean, I was probably had let go when I was gone.
Yeah.
And he reached up and grabbed me and sucked me down back in.
Holy smoke.
Yeah. And I remember sitting down inside the boat, and I was breathing as hard as I could, just take as much air in as I could, because I was starting to hyperventilate. But the beautiful part about it is I got my breath, I changed out and I went on a 5-day SR. And
made some people pay for that.
That was the end of it. You know, you just kind of tell that story later. It was no big deal. I mean, nobody died, so we're good.
Yeah.
You know, bad experiences make great stories.
Right.
You know, I laugh about it now, but it was terrifying at the time. I was thinking, hey, here we go, man. Near death experience. A lot of we've lost guys underwater. I used to say physics. The laws of physics don't work underwater. They're different. It's just, but that's not true. It's the medium that changes everything. Because nothing moves like it should up here.
Right.
And if you're not on your A game, especially in the conditions that we're in, you're dead.
Well, composure is like
absolutely. You
key
cannot freak out
in
underwater
that environment.
Yeah.
Oh, it's wild.
Best way to die.
It wasn't all in Hawaii. You spent some time in Afghanistan.
Oh, that particular op was. Matter of fact, we were in Seattle, Washington when that little gym happened. So you can imagine how cold that water is. You know what's scariest? The most terrified I've ever been is I opened up a canopy of our little mini sub, and there was a pod of killer whales swimming with us.
Oh, no way.
No.
Bro.
We have thoughts on that.
They're
in the
very
variety
dangerous
program.
animals.
But I tell you what, I mean, it scared me. It petrified me.
They are killers. They're not named
They don't.
killer whales for nothing.
They're not looking to hug you underwater.
They just sunk like 3 yachts, right?
You know,
Yeah.
there's only one documented case of a killer whale killing a human outside of captivity.
Documented.
Documented.
That's
I wasn't going to find out if they were,
Yeah.
but just the size and being, it was like from me to you.
Yeah, right. I would freak out.
It's like, oh my God, get me out of the water. I didn't even get in the water again.
So you gutted the killer whale is what
No,
happened.
yeah, man.
That's
Hey, there's
he
some
opened
things
up on this thing.
It's a confirmed kill.
I mean, you want to talk about apex predator?
Yeah.
Those guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
when
I'm-
Shamu met Morgan, it was a real problem for sure. That was,
That was his family that were pissed and asking where he was at.
Right.
which it turns out that's what they do, right? They're sinking all kinds of yachts. Have you seen this? They sink all kinds of boats now.
They do not. I mean, they're so brilliant. They feel threatened. They're coming after you, and they don't forget.
Yeah, they're smart.
It's like elephants.
They've got big teeth too.
Ugh.
They got
Well,
big teeth.
But negotiating with killer whales is one thing. When you're in Afghanistan negotiating with what was on the other side of us there, that is a much, much more complicated task. And you were talking about being on your A game, and you were talking about that there's no book for what you're supposed to do in a difficult situation. I can't imagine there's a book written for exactly what you're supposed to do when you're in Afghanistan and you're trying to figure out how to negotiate with the other side.
That lends itself to to innovative, creative, out of the box thinkers, problem solvers. You have to assess a problem set early on, and no knee jerk reactions. Always let it develop. Even up here when people are like, "Oh my God, we're freaking out. This is catastrophic." It's like, look, guys and gals, nobody's shooting at us up here. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Seriously, that's my baseline. There's nobody shooting at us up here. Take a wrap off for a second. But over in the Middle East and Afghanistan, Iraq, whichever, every tribe to tribe is different. There's different expectations, some different languages or dialects of languages, if you will.
Yeah.
And that getting things accomplished with a society, generational society that, all they know is violence and warfare. They thrive on that over there. They do. And
Yeah, I mean, for generations.
They've been fighting for generations.
Right.
So when we were interacting with them, trying to problem solve with them, I mean, not only you're always apprehensive, like, all right, and watching, because they don't wear everybody. I often think of how, I say cool, but I don't know if cool is the right word to use, how cool it would have been to fight an army that was in a uniform.
Oh,
Like,
man.
that's who I got to go after, because they were just amongst us, and then you really had to be very self-aware
Yeah.
before they'd snatch you up. But we were always successful, and then because we had our mission set, we had our our left and right flank, and we knew what we were trying to accomplish. And then you put a group of guys together that are hyper aggressive, with no sleep till it's done. We're not stopping until we win.
Yep.
You can't stop that.
No. I mean, you had a mission. You were going to go
Yeah.
accomplish it. Come hell or high water.
Yeah, I mean that's the U.S. military as a whole. I mean
Yeah.
that's just how we're everything that's going on around the world with Russia and Ukraine and China and Iran and North Korea, and I hear folks, especially back in my district, just across the country, they're like, man, we hear, the Spetsnaz are just killers, and the Chinese, they're just 100 to 1. And I always say, hey, look, you know what? Let me tell you something. You cut the Marine Corps loose, stand by and watch. They're the baddest sumbitches that walk this planet, and mean to boot. And I'm a Navy guy saying that about Marines, right?
Right, that takes something.
I mean, it's hard to choke that up and spit that out. But we volunteer to fight.
Yeah.
Other countries, they draft you in or it's mandatory service. Around here, man, these guys and gals just itching to get into a mix.
You want to do it.
Hey, you want to fight somebody who wants to come out there and kick your ass? God dang, no, man. And that's why I constantly build everybody up. I was like, hey, man, I know what you're seeing on TV and this, that, and the other. Man, make no mistake about it. The United States military is baddest some bitches on the planet.
Yeah. Well, we need more people like you to talk about that, because I feel like we're in a day and age when people in this country have lost sight of some of that.
There is that narrative is out there,
which sucks.
It does. And I hate the fact that somebody said this to me the other day. Like, when you see the movies that are out and you read some of the books and articles, it's always a tragedy when it's in the military. This is gonna happen to you. This is inevitable. You're gonna have post-traumatic stress. This, that. People, hey man, no, that's a small fraction of it. That may happen.
Yeah.
The rest of it is the most amazing experiences ever. People you meet, places you go, things you get to do. You can do anything in the military. Great stepping stone.
Well, they mold men like you. And here's a question for you. How much, given your choice of timing for running for Congress and ultimately being successful, how much was the eventual withdrawal of Afghanistan and the botched, absurd Biden administration imperative of getting out when they did without much of a plan, obviously leaving a ton of people behind?
Sure, yeah.
How much of that was instrumental in your decision making about now's the time I need to get involved here?
That obviously played a part in it.
Yeah.
When you have a breakdown in leadership, that's a breakdown in leadership, breakdown in managerial skills. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Where I landed is oversight of that and holding people accountable. That's what legislators do, right? We make laws and we hold people accountable. We found out if there's an error in law, if there's an absence of a law, or there's a change that needs to be in law, that's where we come in as legislators. I sit back because I wasn't there, right? And I don't armchair quarterback. And knowing it being read in where I'm at now, when you have DOD and State Department, we're not buddies. DOD and State Department don't like each other at all. It's just, and I'll argue that all day long. Different ideologies, different concepts of operations, how things function, who's running the show, how far down in organizations, who's responsible for that.
The old carrot and stick.
Carrot and stick. There you go.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, as it was handed off, one concept of op was passed off. It was shot down. President went with another concept of operations, and this is what we saw. Right. To date, no one has been held accountable.
Yeah, I know.
And I can't get my head around that. I know of something that happened not too long ago in the military, and they hung 11 people for it. They removed 11 people from duty, and then 13 of our service members were killed over there, and not one person was held accountable.
Yeah.
And on House Armed Services Committee, they've been digging into that. We've dug into it. We're still going as far deep as when you have an individual at a certain level that is not willing to hold people accountable, but they're the top line.
Yeah. Not much you can do.
Not much you can do.
But you keep on digging, and that's what we appreciate. I hope you continue to do
that.
We are,
I know
buddy. You will.
Yeah,
I know you will.
And there's 80 veterans now in the House of Representatives.
That's the thing, right? No. I mean, and I think we've had a fair number in the Republican side here. It is like a rebirth almost.
It is. And it's on both sides. I was at an event, this guy, the new congressman, introducing himself to me and to the group, and he's a military guy. And he goes, my last op before I rode a desk and got out was an operation in Afghanistan. He's standing right here in front of me, and Democrat. The last operation in Afghanistan, we went out and we were able to save one man. He was the air officer for it. It was Marcus, my brother.
Wow.
He was the air officer for the operation.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude. I walked over and gave him a hug, and I was like, How long you been sitting on that little gym?
Was that
And
was
how'd you become a lib?
But he knows. So that, well, you know, I'm like, hey, man. But those are so that is an instant connection.
Yeah.
And I can have conversations with him.
Yeah.
He's from Colorado. Great guy.
So was that Operation Red Wings? Is that what that was?
The Operation Red Wing was the operation my brother
The
and his
original
teammates were
one.
on.
Yes.
And then the rescue operation that went in
To get him.
recover, he was the air officer for that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. How cool is that, right?
Incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And actually, his office is right across the hall from mine.
Is that right?
Yeah. I'll stop in there all the time and just thank him. And, you know, hey, bro, appreciate you. You need anything? You know, that kind of thing.
Well, listen, I mean, look, you get a lot of that. And people have, look, it was a big deal to have military service in the 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
and 90s. We lost some of that in the 2000s. It's now coming back. But one of the reasons beyond just serving your country and proving that you can serve your country and you're committed to your country, that's important in representing your country, is also what you've just demonstrated by talking about all of this. You're thoughtful about stuff. You think about things. You're contemplative about issues. You're not reactive. And I think that's really important.
You know, I've seen the best and worst in humanity.
Totally.
In my opinion, you know, there's people who've seen a lot worse than me, but I've seen how bad it can really get. And I understand, you know, and I come from a very conservative district, and I was raised in my district.
Yeah.
You know, and I speak their language. That was one of the things that got me into this position, is like I was from there.
Yeah.
I'm cultured. I understand and appreciate that there's not another district, not only in the state, but in the country, that's like mine. But I understand that 800,000 people have an opinion in every other district in the continental United States that don't believe the same way that I do. And if we're going to live in harmony in this country, you got to appreciate where I'm coming from. I appreciate where you're coming from. Let's meet somewhere right in here. Hey, I'm in the majority. We're going to inch this way. You're in the majority. You got the power.
Yeah.
You know, you have to respect that.
It's
You know,
just,
there's members up there that I have no political alignment with. Zero. I mean, we couldn't be further away from each other politically, but I have a cordial relationship with them, and they they ask me great. You know, the conversations that we have are great. But when it's time for me to key up, or them to key up, I sit back and let them speak the word of 800,000 people that they represent.
Yeah.
And then I step in and I speak for District 8.
yeah, totally. Listen, sometimes you got to see some shit to understand some shit. And
Yeah,
I think that's the
well
case
said.
with Morgan Luttrell. Hey, I got 3 questions for you.
Lay it
We
on
do
me, I'm
this-
ready.
We do this for everybody.
I'm ready.
All right?
I'm ready.
Your last meal on Earth, if you can plan it, what would it be?
Oh, okay. That's easy. Because I eat the same meal for my birthday.
Yeah, okay, all right.
It-
You're on my same wave.
Fried chicken,
Okay.
macaroni and cheese, shells, green beans, fresh with bacon. Yeah. Mashed potatoes with the skin left on with sour cream inside.
Oh, yeah.
Corn on the cob.
Oh,
And a big old glass of sweet tea. And that's my brother Mark's now. My mother, she makes that for us every birthday.
is that right?
Well, yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
hell of a tradition.
Yeah, it is. And since we were, I can remember. And obviously, it wasn't from birth, but since I can remember, that's what we've always had. And my mama actually taught my wife how to make that too. So
Is that right?
Yeah, my wife Leslie, she makes it.
Oh, next generation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking brown bag fried chicken. You know, get it
Oh,
in there.
yeah, you shake that
Takes
thing.
all day.
I love that. Man, that's so good. And it's super country.
Oh, but I mean, God, I love me some fried chicken.
I love that. All right. So usually this question goes to people who've been in politics for a long time. You haven't been. And the question is, if you weren't doing this and you had this big blue sky in the middle of your life that you could do anything with,
Yeah.
what would you fill it with? We got to go back a little bit with you, right? So let's say your professional career, let's say you have 20 years in smack dab middle of your life that you could go back and do anything you wanted with it with the benefit of retrospect. What would it be?
I'd be a hay farmer. Swear to God.
All right, let's hear it.
I'd be a hay farmer. I'd be a rancher.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the hardest job in the country, but it's the most blissful. You get on your tractor all day long cutting hay, moving cattle, working horses. Nobody's yelling at you, screaming at you, shooting at you, throwing things at you. The only thing you got to do is make sure they survive so you can survive, and there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
It's
Hard day's work.
It's a hard day's work. You wake up in the morning before the sun comes up, you're working. And when that sun goes down, you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And then everything you do in between takes care of your family, takes care of the rest of the country. right?
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's a
Baling hay.
peaceful.
That's the hardest job.
It ain't
I tell
easy.
you what, for the parents out there, if you've got sons or daughters that are misbehaving,
Make it
Yeah.
go big.
find you a ranch that throws hay.
Yeah.
Walk them out there and say, "You're doing this for a summer."
So I had
See what happens.
I had a buddy who baled hay for a summer, and the one thing I'll never forget is how many cuts he had on the inside of his forearms on both sides, and the things were basically scars for about 6 months.
It's brutal.
That's brutal work.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's throwing it and stacking it on a trailer out in the field is one thing. Putting it back in the barn is the worst part.
Yeah.
Because you got to unload it all again and restack it, and you got to stack it right or it'll fall down. I'm talking square bells.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about them round bells. I'm talking
Yeah.
about square.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid you do alfalfa because that weighs about as much as I do.
Man, have a good dinner with the kids, put them to bed, say a prayer,
Yeah.
good night, and do it
Oh,
again.
they get up. So when I grew up on a horse ranch. So when we got up before the sun came up, Marcus and I had to go out and feed water the horses before the school bus showed up. And got home, had to do our homework, then do our chores, feed and water the horses. Mama had supper ready. We ate, went to bed.
Yeah.
That was our week. And then Saturday, did whatever we want. Sunday, went to church.
I want to meet Mr. and Mrs. Luttrell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
this
man,
is-
my mom. Sitting here looking at me, and everything that I've been through. My mother is a project of the '60s. She's a hippie, and I mean hardcore still.
Really?
And my daddy was an outlaw. This is what you get. Yeah,
That's how you make the Luttrell.
that's how you like the Luttrell brothers, man.
It's like a country song.
It should be.
It is.
I
It
mean,
should be.
gosh, almighty.
Can I throw in one more question here?
Are you going to?
I just think it's only
before
fitting.
we get to the last one.
So, well, since he raised the idea of a killer whale,
Oh yeah. Okay.
so we talk a lot about animal fighting on this podcast, and there's one guy who's not here who claims that he could take a horse in a fight.
Which
thinks
is
he could-
nonsense.
It
but
is nonsense.
He does.
That's what
claim
he
that.
claims.
Yeah.
What kind of horse we talking about? Like a Shetland or a Welsh pony? Or
Well, that's what we would say.
Not a Clydesdale.
He likes us to think it's a Bergeron. What?
which are aggressive?
Yeah.
Very. So the question that we have for you is a question we talk about often. If you were to think about the biggest, baddest animal that you could take mano a mano, what do you think?
And
that
win or lose, or does it matter?
And win.
Or just stand
win,
up to?
and win? Standing up, and you could define standing up to the animal and surviving it as winning.
Yeah. You can. Whatever you'd like.
All right. Man, that's a great question.
It does. You know what? Have you ever seen the movie The Revenant?
Best part is
Yes.
that Morgan is
Well,
like,
okay, hey,
serious.
so-
If you ever
Well,
seen the movie The Revenant?
Yes, them two didn't. I remember them two teenagers that got in a fight with. One of them got attacked by a grizzly bear, and his buddy jumped on the bear, and the bear turned on him and went to work on him, and
Yeah.
they saved each other.
Yeah.
I mean that's
That's some shit.
that's love.
And,
And
it also qualifies.
Yeah.
hey, man, winning is a different thing because I was
Just
going to say
surviving's winning.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
have you ever had your ass kicked? There's some time.
Oh, yeah.
We're from the Midwest.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, well, you guys
We've all
fight
gotten
for
our ass kicked, yeah.
Everybody here, it gets cold. You guys
It's a rite
fight.
of
Yeah.
passage.
It gets cold, you guys fight.
Yeah.
That's all you got.
It gets
funny
hot where we're from. We fight all the time. It's
It's cold, you fight.
That's a true statement, though.
Yeah,
It's just true.
It's a fact.
Man, I got in a pretty good scrap with a bobcat one day.
No.
Really?
Yeah, I was out running.
Wow.
Wait, are you serious? So this thing like started stalking you?
I ran up on it and scared him as much as he scared me. I had my dog with me, which he didn't do a damn thing. And that I was shocked at how fast those things were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually got a hold of my hand.
Oh,
Scratched me up pretty good. But I was able.
your right hand?
Yeah, I'm right. I don't
Are you
have it.
right-handed?
Well, it all depends.
Oh, this is a seal answer.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's the-
I will.
Whatever hand you got.
Well, there you go. I got a lot of weapons on me. I grew up right-handed, and I got to BUD/S SEAL training and found out I was left eye dominant. And they were like, if you want to, you need to switch.
Really?
Yeah, so I switched, and I'm left-handed, everything except for writing and throwing.
Really?
Yeah,
They know what they're doing.
Fantastic.
yeah. Anyway, I digress. Where was I going?
No,
So-
the
Bobcat. The Bobcat. Yeah, so I actually got it off of him. It ran, and trust me, I ran. There was actually I came out of the park, a little dock in the box, and I walked in, and the hand was bloody. Not bad, but just looked like a cat got a hold of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I need to get a tetanus shot or anything? He's like, nah, we don't have that around here.
Wait,
That's all
really?
he said. I was like,
Come on.
I was like, okay.
They're like, no treatment.
No treatment.
Come on.
Still looking for that damn bobcat, though. I had this whole, because then after that, because the park walks around this river, and I was like, all right, as a team guy, if he comes back at me, I'm going to grab him, I'm going to jump in the river, I'm going to drown his ass. I never saw him again. I guess he got enough.
It's a seal. You got to take him.
Hey,
You
man.
got to take him to your.
Yeah, I go to the water.
You go
to the water. I'll take all challengers, man. I go to the water. You better hope there's not a body of water around. Even if I'm almost 50, I still, if somebody's fucking with me,
Right to the
I always
water.
look around if there's a swimming pool or a pond somewhere and be like, hey, man.
It's like a gator. And
But
then
if,
a gator roll.
yeah, but if there's not, I might second. I was like, all right.
That's an excellent answer.
Hey, man, it's
so
true.
Good. It's so good. All right, so last question. This is a little bit esoteric. So
Okay.
you gotta. Our view is that most successful people are motivated by one of two things: the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat. And it's not that anybody enjoys losing, or that anybody doesn't like winning.
Yep.
It's that what motivates you to keep improving yourself, to keep going to that next level. And like the baseline that we always use on this is like Michael Jordan is the ultimate agony of defeat guy. Every championship he had, he celebrated for like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you insulted him on the court, 35 years
yeah.
later, he's still talking about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And remembers it. Exactly how it happened. Yeah.
Right. So, and the other side is that on the thrill of victory is this like consummate optimist, glass half full, keep pushing forward, and know that you can get to the next self-motivated stage by seeing a goal and directing yourself towards it.
Okay.
So, where do you see on the spectrum? Where do you find yourself?
That's a very complex question.
It is.
A lot of intangibles in there.
Tons.
Good. All right. Let me see if I can peel this onion back. So I've learned more and gained more in all of my failures than I ever have in any of my successes or victories. Right.
Yep.
And I've learned more and felt more gratitude along the way before the race than I ever did when I was running it or won it.
Ah, interesting.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
There's nothing more gratifying than kicking everybody's ass than first place.
Yeah.
Right? There's not. But I think there's a good synergy between the two for me. Mm-hmm. Right? And like Andre Agassi said it best, man, because he all the way to the top, and then he talks about going all the way to the bottom with all of his addiction problems and everything that he had going on, and the struggle he had to get back to number one. And then he talks about what it was. He goes, it was so precious for me to be number one initially, but I didn't know what I had.
Yeah.
And then when I lost it all and got it again, I did.
Yeah.
And I always remembered him. I read that. He didn't tell me that. I read that. And I use that perspective in
good.
life now.
That's good.
You know what I mean? So that's probably the best way I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes both of them to make me whole.
Yeah. No, it makes a ton of sense. A healthy amount of agony of defeat in order to appreciate.
Man, if you don't take
the thrill
yourself
of victory.
outside your comfort zone frequently, you lose so much ambition. You lose so much just life experiences.
Yeah.
Which I think, I wish people would do that. And I don't care what it is. Right, I tell people, it's like, hey, people are like, hey, what was Hell Week like? What was it like being in war? How do I challenge myself? You want to challenge yourself? This is no shit. If you want to challenge yourself, wake up Saturday morning and walk 50 miles. Don't stop. And you don't have to run. Walk 50 miles straight. You will endure more physical and mental pain. And don't train for it. Cold bore it. And see how far you got. And I've had one person take me up on it. And he called me about mile 32.
He's like, you son of a bitch.
He's like, first I've ever gone is 4 miles. And he made it to mile 32. And he told me he passed out on a Waffle House sidewalk. He did.
Which is a dangerous
I hope
place.
he hears this. And yeah, it's a dangerous. Oh, absolutely. Man, no telling what happens when that place. Yeah. And I love Waffle House, but I'm saying. And he called me the next day and told me that happened. And I was like, all right, and I let him go. And I called him back a couple of days later, and I was like, tell me what you learned about yourself. Because he went from 4 miles to 32 miles.
Yeah.
He's like, I learned more about myself in that distance between 4 and 32 than I have in mine. He's a kid. He's like 22 years old.
Yeah.
He's like, I was like, now you know where your bar's at.
Yeah.
You're at 32.
Yeah.
Take another step, right? Just keep climbing.
Yeah.
And I mean, he learned how far he could push himself before failure.
I want Morgan Luttrell to wake me up every morning.
Yeah.
Right? And just be like, hey, man, you think you can do this today?
One more step.
One more round, man. Rocky said it better. One more round.
One more round.
Yeah, Dave Goggins good, but you guys knew who that is? Dave
Yeah.
Goggins?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He been on your show yet?
No,
man.
but he's like ultra marathon guy, right? Like,
Yeah, he's probably, arguably, I would say, the most mentally gifted man on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And just the way, just him. He's a very quiet guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good buddy of mine. Very quiet guy, but I mean, when he turns on, stand by.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll let you know about it, right?
yeah.
And just some of the things that and I take a lot from. I ran ultra marathons because of a buddy of mine that asked me to do it. We called David, said, "Hey, how do we get through this?" And of course, he's like, "Don't be a fucking pussy." That's all I need to know. Okay, I can do that.
Well, that was easy.
Now I'm
Check.
Now I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, but the whole walk 50 miles thing is a great test for someone who thinks that they need a challenge in their life. And it's doable.
I love
And
it.
then if I've had somebody who's like, well, I'm in a wheelchair and I got to get my hips out, my legs out. I was like, all right, wake up every morning at 4:00 and get in a cold shower for 30 days straight. It'll change your life.
Mm-hmm.
First couple of days, you amp yourself up. You're motivated, absolutely. About 5 days, day 5 to day 15, you want to kill yourself. And day 20, you live for it.
Oh man, this
You
is
live for it.
This is so great. I wish we could do like 4 hours with Morgan Luttrell. This is
Me too.
I feel like I'm going to run through a brick wall.
Hey, man.
I mean,
you got to
Kool-Aid
live
Man.
life to the fullest, man. Life's a garden, right? You got to dig it. I mean, to compliment Joe Dirt.
Listen, for all
Joe Dierte.
Dirt say, don't French it up, buddy.
for all of our listeners who want to follow along, help you out, where do they go?
So my official website is Latrell@house.com.
That's good stuff.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
there.
Latrell@house.com. And then Mojo Latrell is Instagram, I think. And then if you Google my name,
You can find all this.
I got more stuff going on social media. Yeah,
We'll find
We'll
you.
get that to you. We'll get that to you
find
later. I'll send you a memo. Nobody's ever asked me how they follow me before. I'm like,
We just
I'll
want
come see you. You don't have to follow me.
Yeah, no, seriously. I have a feeling you're going to show up in my creek. Morgan Luttrell, thank you so much for coming
No,
in.
thanks, guys. I enjoyed it.
We didn't
It
know
was
you before this, but I feel like you're an old friend at this point. Thank you so much
I appreciate
for
it,
coming
man. Absolutely, guys. I enjoyed it. It was awesome.
in. Take care.
All right.